9 veteran service centres have been closed. 1,000 staff have been laid off. The minister is knowingly putting our veterans at risk. So instead of firing the staff, why doesn't the Prime Minister fire the minister?
Here is the reality. We have taken resources out of backroom administration, from bureaucracy. We've put it into services. There are more benefits and more money for veterans than ever before, and more points of service. That's called good administration, good government, and it's good service for the veterans.
Conservatives' callous disregard for our veterans doesn't end there. Conservatives are now arguing before the courts that the government's repeated promises over the years to care for injured vets were just political promises and should never have been taken seriously to begin with. Quote, these statements were political speeches not intended as commitments or solemn commitments, unquote. That's what they said. So does the Prime Minister stand by that argument made by his own lawyer in court that the government's promises to veterans were just political speeches?
I'm obviously not going to comment on matters before the courts. What I can say is the following, Mr. Speaker. The substantive matter is a measure passed by the previous government and supported by all parties in this House, including the NDP. But, Mr. Speaker, the reality is that this government has enhanced veterans' services in numerous ways. We brought in the Canadian Forces Income Support Allowance that the NDP voted against. We brought in the Veterans Bill of Rights that the NDP voted against. We brought in compensation on the Agent Orange issue the NDP voted against. Enhancements to the Veterans Independence Program that the NDP voted against. I could go on.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Unfortunately for the Prime Minister, he's proving that he actually does think that they were only political speeches. He doesn't think that veterans in our country have a right to service. He has said through his lawyers in court in Canada that these are political speeches. Those promises should never have been taken seriously. Instead of blaming the veterans for actually taking his word, why doesn't he start respecting his word?
Speaker, the items I just listed are not political rhetoric. They are real services and programs for our veterans. Mr. Speaker, the rhetoric is from these guys who, when actually faced with doing something for veterans, vote against them every single time we deliver.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The NDP will reopen every one of those 9 offices.
But, Mr. Speaker, it's good to know that the NDP will hire more bureaucrats at Veterans Affairs. What it won't do, Mr. Speaker, is vote for enhanced funding for the Community War Memorial Program, enhanced benefits under the Earning Loss and Supplementary Retirement Benefit Program. The NDP won't vote for the Financial Support Program. It won't vote for career transition services, for mental health services, for disability awards and allowances, Mr. Speaker, and that's the difference between the rhetoric over there and the action here.
Mr. Speaker, we thought we'd reached the point where...
We've moved on to the next question. The Honourable Member for Papineau now has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, we thought we'd reached the point where we couldn't be shocked anymore by the Prime Minister's shoddy treatment of our veterans. But now we learn that to pad his books, he's actually underfunded our military cemeteries. He's cut 80% of the staff doing this solemn work. Thousands of grave markers needed repair and weren't fixed last year. When will the Prime Minister apologize for his disrespect of our veterans?
The right Honourable Prime Minister.
I note that the government has enhanced funeral services for our veterans through successive budgets, also enhanced contributions to the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. But guess what, Mr. Speaker? Guess who stood up in his place and voted against that? The member for Papineau and the Liberal Party. Once again, Mr. Speaker, and veterans are not fooled. They know all they get from is rhetoric from the Liberal Party. They get actions and services from this country.